All right, guys, welcome to day 4 of morphology for this week. We are going to start off our day by reviewing our prefix for this week. Our prefix is sub. Let's tap out the sounds that we hear in sub together. B, sub. Very good. Make sure you clip that b sound at the end. Don't say buh. Say b. Do it really short and clipped. Sub. Very good. Now, we've looked at some words with sub and suff this week. Sub, with our key picture of the dog underneath the table, clues us in to remember that it means under, beneath, behind, or below. Now, for the purpose of most of the words we have looked at this week, we have looked at them with the meaning of under. That has been the main definition we have used for the prefix sub or suff. We did observe one that used the suffix beneath, but mainly the one we looked at is under. Now, it is an assimilated prefix, meaning that the last letter of the prefix will change or might change depending on the first letter of the root word. We did look at subfloor yesterday, and we did notice that because the root started with the F or F sound, we did not change sub to suff, meaning souffleur. That doesn't really make sense. So we kept it with sub. So there are some exceptions at times. Now we know that usually we're going to change the assimilated prefix to suff instead of sub, usually when we see that our root begins with the letter F. Now, once again, our exception yesterday was subfloor. Today we're going to read a story. Now, I want to warn you, this story is a little bizarre, a little strange, and very untrue. And I can tell you that because I am the one that wrote it, and so I know exactly that it's a little silly. But the purpose of us reading the story is I want for you to identify words that are using the assimilated prefix of sub or suff that we have studied this week. Now, we're going to talk through some comprehension questions afterwards as well, but I really want for you to zone in on the words that have the prefix that we've been studying this week. The passengers were ready for their adventure. Overcome with excitement, they jumped into the massive transportation machine. They fired up the engine, and the submarine began its slow journey to the bottom depths of the ocean. While waiting to reach the bottom of the ocean to begin their mission, one passenger decided it was a great time to explain to others what a suffix was. Well, you see, I used to be in this awesome 4th grade class in the Benton School District, said the passenger, where they taught me all about what a suffix is and how it is added to the end of a root word. While sounding so intelligent, the other passenger stood in amazement as he told his story of learning about a suffix. As they listened closely to the suffix story, the submarine was suffering from a massive leak in the front. Nobody even knew about it because they were so fascinated by suffixes. Crazy, I know. Luckily, one passenger clued in that there was a leak. Hey guys, stop talking about suffixes. We need to check on the subfloor to make sure it doesn't give out from the water. They immediately ran to where the leak was. 5 of the crew checked the leak, while another 5 checked on the subfloor. Thankfully, they were able to stop the leak and save the subfloor from any damage. The submarine was saved. All of the passengers took a seat and let out a huge sigh of relief, knowing that their submarine was safe. Now, once again, I told you this story is super silly, super untrue, but the purpose was for us to hear some of the words with this prefix that we have studied this week. So I want for you to look and observe and identify some of the words that have the prefix sub or suff. I see one here on the 3rd line, submarine. That is the main transportation machine that we looked at, one that goes underwater. Underwater. I see another one, suffix. The word suffix was used quite a bit in this story. Now, I know that you're thinking the same thing. Nobody would be telling a story about learning about a suffix, but this passenger sure was excited about it. Now, I see suffix throughout here several times, but another one that I see is suffering. And in the word suffering, I also see a suffix, ing. Very good. And then we see the main other one, subfloor. So we see tons of words with sub or suff and ones with suffixes in them that we have studied this week. All right, let's talk about let me erase my screen really quick. Let's talk about some comprehension questions about the story that we just read. All right, number 1, what was the story one of the passengers was telling the others about? What was the story one of the passengers was telling to the others about? It was about, you're right, it was about suffixes. He was telling them a story all about suffixes and how he learned about them. All right, number 2, what transportation machine was used in this story? Say it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Very good. A submarine. A submarine is a transportation machine that goes underneath the water, and it travels very much so in the depths of the ocean. All right, number 3, did the passengers know there was a leak? You're right. No, they did not. Now tell me, how do you know from the story that they did not know there was a leak? What is the evidence that you have, the text evidence? Very good. The guy was telling the story, and then one passenger clued in and screamed, "Hey guys, we need to figure it out." All right, number 5, based on what we know, why do they have to be concerned about the subfloor? Very good. The subfloor provides a sturdy and smooth support for the actual floor. So if the subfloor gives out, there's no longer a sturdy support for the actual floor to be on, so the floor would fall through. And in a submarine, you definitely don't want that to happen. And number 6, explain to a neighbor, a friend, or a family member what the prefix sub means. That's your challenge as we end this day and we end this week of instruction. Tomorrow is assessment day, but I hope that you enjoyed this kind of silly story, but I also hope that you were able to hone in on some of the awesome words with the Latin prefix sub or suff that we have studied this week.